Though it is an amazing thing to recognize the LGBTQ plus couples and interracial couples as couples that are just as important as other couples. For years, LGBTQ plus couples have been looked down upon, especially by groups that are people in terms of churches, because they want to term it with Sodom and Gomorrah. With Sodom and Gomorrah is a two-horned nation. Sodom and Gomorrah is not necessarily a symbol of LGBTQ plus or same-sex marriages. It is a two-horned nation. But we find that within the story in the Bible, the scenario in the story or the fulfillment of men wanting to sleep with other men is something that we see in Sodom and Gomorrah. So with that, people want to link Sodom and Gomorrah, a two-horned nation, with LGBTQ+. LGBTQ+ has been couples and relationships that have had to hide their status for years until now. These days, in our modern world, LGBTQ+ are couples and people that we all love. We enjoy spending our time around them and we respect their decision. So is interracial marriages. Therefore, in 2022, when the White House in America signed a bill with a policy that has a marriage act putting LGBTQ plus and interracial marriages together as if they are one when they're not one. LGBTQ plus are people with their own problems that stem from many issues that come from all sorts of different groups. And so are interracial marriage couples, where for years they've had a history of being banned in countries for wanting to be in relationships with people from different races. So I propose that to Mr. President Joe Biden in America and the Biden administration to let the one act, the Marriage Act, putting LGBTQ plus and interracial marriages as one fold. LGBTQ plus couples are an individual entity, and so is interracial marriage couples. They are an individual entity. To deal with them would be to deal with them at an individual as individuals. To deal with them would be to deal with them as individuals, where the interracial marriages have their own marriage act and the LGBTQ plus have their own marriage act. It does not remove the fact that both of them need to be protected. That and of itself as to recognize that both entities need to be protected. Over years and years of having a history of being banned and ridiculed and undermined by people in all sorts of different groups, having them protected is something that, as a marriage act proposes, I feel is good. But to have them together in one marriage act is something that I do not agree with. I believe having them together in one act must fall, but having them as individual entities with their own individual marriage acts is something that might help, especially when we look at in the future or yet now, when Barry M. Goldwater uses LGBTQ plus as a group that forms a part of his army, that then interracial marriage couples do not form a part of that army. And when Semiramis and Nimrod do whatever they want to do, or Moses and Zipporah do have their own story in the fulfillment, then interracial marriages play a part in that, but LGBTQ plus marriages do not play a part in that. So these acts will serve as individual entities to distinguish between the two and show the duties that are different between the two, that do stand, and protecting both of them as individuals, which I stand on too.